What's up, guys? Welcome to Keto Rewind. I'm Jess. I have Mom here today, Deb, for everybody who keeps asking her name. So today's video is going to be an interesting just chit-chat about some interesting results I got based off of my DNA. If you remember a while back, I did probably about a month or so ago, I did a 23andMe DNA test. And then the cool thing about doing that...
She wasn't sure I was her mother.
It has been confirmed, no. Totally kidding. But anyways, it's interesting to know about your genetic makeup, and it also reaffirms that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach to living. Literally from eating to, dieting to exercising, everything. It's not a one-size-all approach. So I was contacted by Gene Food, which is a third-party company that will take the raw DNA from the 23andMe, Ancestry, those type of, what do you call those? Companies. And you can input that into their system, and it will give you a custom
profile.
Nutrition plan, I guess, of what your individual DNA needs are and what foods you should or should not be having.
It's kind of like a suggested profile to meet the genetic makeup of your body and how to match the nutrition into your genetic makeup. And so they put this profile together, and with the intent, I'm sure, is to have them hook up for your best, to be the best you.
Yeah. And being that, like I said, the earlier part of this video, it's not a one-size-all approach. That's why even on the ketogenic diet, some people can not track a single macro. Some folks can eat all the cheese and dairy. Some folks can, like you just see, you can't, I always say you do you, don't look at somebody else's journey, because we're all so different. So that's why I was even open in the first place to check this out. So I was curious, and the more information you have about how your body operates, hey, the more knowledge you have is power. So I did mine, and I will post a link down below if you're interested in this. The coupon code is 15% off, I think. I'll post it for sure down there, but the coupon code is Jessica Jean, and the link you would use is down below if you're interested in this type of information. So I got California Coastal. Now, when I thought I was going to get something, I was not expecting a 26-page report based off of my DNA. So that was really cool, and it explains it very well, very easily. So when I first read it, I was like, I'll read it and read it with an open mind. Now, before we go any further, I'm not a doctor. Mom is a nurse, but a retired nurse. But I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, I'm not giving any advice. This is my results and my thoughts on my results. And what did you want to add?
Well, question is, would they get your DNA right from Ancestry?
Yes.
Well, no, not Ancestry, 23andMe.
Yeah,
okay.
But you can use Ancestry too. They have the same thing. I move the file to them.
Oh, okay.
So you can download it on 23andMe or Ancestry or whatever DNA or first one you started with, and you take that raw data and you put it into their site.
And how long does it take for you to get, to hear back from them?
I got mine back in 5 minutes. So, and my husband was super curious.
That fast. I'm not about a lot of change right now.
So here's the thing. After doing a ketogenic diet for 14 months now, I have a pretty good grasp on what works and what doesn't work for me. So reading through this, I had a lot of aha moments. And so basically, I got the California Coastal
Not to be confused with Postal.
The California Coastal genetic diet type. And that's basically, we'll do an overview of what that even means. And that means I should, based off of my genetics, choose omega-3 rich foods over saturated animal fats. Focus on lower glycemic carbs such as legumes and sweet potatoes, and avoid at all costs sugar, flour, and white foods, processed foods. Consider light weight training and adding a 20-minute post-meal stroll to your routine. Get most of your protein from pastured poultry, wild-caught fish, and plants. Now, I was like, interesting. So let's see, where do you even begin to like digest that? So there's an overview with more explanation, and basically I have always known that when I approach the ketogenic diet, I've approached it from a weight loss perspective. I found that I already was limiting fat. I don't try to hit my fat macros every day, never have, and it's because I was morbidly obese at 309 pounds. And as I'm continuously jet flying over. Sorry about the background noise. But it was such a pretty day. But I always approached it from, I hit my protein and I stay under my carb was like my approach. So when it said to avoid saturated fats, that was interesting to me because I find like I was doing that already. I'm not against saturated fat. I eat it in moderation. I don't need 150 grams of saturated fat needed per day. Like that's, you know, butter. And I love a lot of butter, yeah. But, so that was one interesting thing that I was already kind of on that, don't really strive to hit the fat and just...
You've been saying that from the beginning. And don't worry about hitting the fat, hit your protein.
And that's because I saw weight loss when I did that. And that's how I've done or approached my whole journey. So the next thing it says, it's always important to keep an eye on blood sugar. Your genotype indicates you may be prone to elevated blood sugar levels. Genetics play a role in our ability to utilize carb fuel, and chronically elevated inflammation is the result. Because you have a harder time keeping steady blood sugar, you will want to avoid higher glycemic foods, especially white foods and processed carbohydrates. Crazy, huh? I mean, I know that for a fact, every time I would eat carbs, I mean, I got to 309 pounds because I ate carbs. That was the main part of my diet. It was so easy to get that big. And it seems that, I mean, that's awesome that this also says, hey, you really, not only have you lost weight and found that out for yourself, but your genetics also say, and then also, when it comes to, I don't carry any genetic markers for lactose intolerance, but that also means that's good, but it also means I get to enjoy dairy, but dairy in moderation. Another thing I found out by doing keto, I can't just eat all the cheese. I limit my dairy. When I started my journey, I could eat all the cheese, but as I started getting better and better and shrinking down, I couldn't have those same results.
She's the cheese police now in this house. I have to go like in the corner and eat my cheese, you know.
So I'm always like, what kind of cheese do you have? No, too much, because if she wants cheese for lunch, she can't have it for dinner too. I won't let her.
I had none today.
Lies. So, and then the next thing is, when it comes to, you know, I kind of touched on the saturated fats, but it says, just because I can't have a ton of saturated fats doesn't mean I can't have any. There's a big difference. But I will say about 2 weeks before I had my labs drawn for my blood work, my routine blood work, I went full carnivore. That's when I first found out about carnivore. And when I had my labs done and the results came back, I came back with high triglycerides. It was the LDLs, right?
LDL.
I had high LDL. So that triggered a second test to determine if they were the large, fluffy cholesterols or they were the small, dense ones. So I had the light, fluffy ones, the big ones.
But any other doctor, if you don't go to a doctor that understands the ketogenic lifestyle, they would be like, oh, you have to stop this today. You're going to have a heart attack next week. We can't do this. It's killing you. That's why you need to go to somebody that is familiar with the diet
and can give you proper guidance.
And yeah, because our doctor, who is well on board, we have
practiced the lifestyle herself.
And then even yeah, that's right. And then even in New England, where we go, his whole family has been ketogenic, and he's in a practice of 5, and so far 3 of the 5 are also gone ketogenic. So you need to get with someone who understands that whole lifestyle, so that they don't panic when those top of the barrel generic markers come through.
Do you remember what mine were?
No, I know, but it was elevated.
230 was total or something like that.
And they usually they'll stop medicating at about 230 to 250 is when they say, okay, you need to go.
I think it came back at like 230, but I'll have to double check.
Yeah,
but
they usually the guidelines are if it's 230 to 250, you have to go on the poison statins. So you know, and you don't want to do that.
But as my doctor was familiar with keto, we tested to make sure it was the healthy, fluffy stuff that I had that was elevating my number, and not the small, dense stuff. So with that being said, I had gone on a very strict carnivore, high saturated fat, you know, for 2 weeks prior to that blood work. So when it explains in here in my genetic or my gene food diet, I should avoid that. I should have moderation. That shouldn't be 100% my diet. So it did kind of like raise my interest that, hey, I had that happen to me. My LDL and HDL ratio or whatever, that's what they're talking about. And that here.
Ratio gives you a number that lets them know what your cardiac risk is for like a heart attack or, you know, a stroke or something like that.
So in other words, I should be getting I should have a slightly overall lower saturated fat intake with an increased rich diet full of omega-3s, and because I'm doing this, it also recommends I should be getting my lab work done often, just to make sure that everything's working, which I have a follow-up. It was supposed to be 6 months later, so I think my follow-up's over the summer, but I'm curious about this. So the next thing it said is absolutely no vegetable oils. So no vegetable oil, no soy oil.
Anyway.
Yeah,
we don't eat them anyway. They haven't been in our house in 10 years.
Yes, and that's not.
Well, I take that back. We had canola for a while till I realized that was also poison. But, yeah. So we don't have those in the house.
So my daily amounts, I should be getting lean grass-fed beef, wild game, avocado, pastured poultry, and then 30% of monosaturated fat should come from avocados, avocado oil, macadamia nuts, pecans, almonds and almond butter, cashews, pistachios, and Brazil nuts. 30% should also be coming from wild salmon, mackerel, walnuts, hemp seeds, hemp milk, flaxseed, chia seeds, and I have no idea what that is. Algal oil?
I don't even know what that is.
And flax, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, and sesame seeds. Strictly avoid fatty meats, palm oil, vegetable oil, seed oil, butter, coconut products. So that, you know, it says coconut. But I mean, like I said, we're just we're going over this, and I'll give you my final thoughts.
Okay, so wild game. Do we have to start eating squirrel?
I think they mean like what is that? Like
our ancestors might have, but I'm not into that tradition. No squirrel.
So it goes into detail about carbohydrates, and I'm not going to, this pretty much, we know what we're talking about. My genetics put me at a higher risk for type 2 diabetes. I didn't have type 2 diabetes, but I would have probably ended up with it had I stayed on that path and not taken sugar out of my diet. So we're going to just skip over that because that's basically...
That happened to me as I got older, and that happened to your dad as he got older, because the genetic predisposition in our family is diabetes.
I get it both sides.
Or insulin resistance. So living the lifestyle that we did prior to about 12 years ago was not the best environment for someone who had the tendency in the genetic makeup to maybe have those triggers.
Yeah, and adding to that, just because something's a carbohydrate doesn't make it a bad thing. So that's one thing that I've been learning slowly. 80% of the foods I eat that are going to bring up the 20% of carbs I do per day, like total grams, should come from, this is where it gets interesting, yams, sweet potatoes, cassava root, avocado, kale, leafy greens, coconut, spinach, broccoli, carrot, cauliflower, black beans, pinto beans, navy beans, green beans, and lentil. And
it says, you love everything.
I know. And blueberries, and let's see, sprouted quinoa, brown rice, buckwheat groats. I'm not even sure what groats are.
It's a flour that's not gluten. Buckwheat doesn't have gluten in it.
So, and then it also says absolutely avoid processed wheat products, bread, flours, processed corn products, pizza, refined sugars, and sweets. So basically, it suggests that I can have a few more foods that I don't normally eat. So I absolutely love quinoa. I'm not against quinoa. I just don't eat it now while I'm on keto.
Beans.
I love beans. I love black beans. Yeah. I love green beans. I love lentils.
That's easy protein for me.
Yeah. So those are other sources to get protein in where, you know, so, and then let's go on to the next part. The protein breakout was I should focus more on chicken or pastured poultry as a whole. And I'm not a big, I don't eat any seafood, but this thing says
she used to when she was younger, a baby, because she wouldn't eat meat when she was young, but she would eat fish. And now she doesn't eat fish, now she eats red meat.
I love red meat and I love chicken, and I love some pork once in a while, like bacon. So anyways, but I do like a pork roast.
I make a good one. My pork sausage. And when I do the tenderloin, and I did that stuffed roll. You like pork, you ate it.
So the next part is the protein breakout. You can also get protein from, you know, beans, which I was not aware of how much you could possibly get, but that's cool to think that you can maybe throw some in. Lean grass-fed beef, wild game, pastured poultry, salmon, cod, wild salmon, sardines, and goat and sheep dairy products, pastured eggs. So then let's move on to the other interesting stuff that it also goes on to tell you what supplements and stuff that maybe I would benefit from, like B12, B6, you know, iron. I mean, lots and lots of stuff here. I'm going to just make sure I didn't miss anything.
Interestingly enough, if you notice that it told you to avoid corn and corn products.
Yeah, because sugar.
90% of the food that's in the grocery markets have
corn.
Some kind of corn
or soy,
and every kernel of corn in the United States and probably the world, I don't know about that, is genetically modified. So here we go with processed, and here we go with, sometimes you're going to have to, you know, you're going to really have to read the labels, because everything has some kind of a corn derivative in it, you know?
Yeah. So basically, the processed foods that I've been avoiding.
High fructose corn syrup. High fructose
corn syrup.
And if you notice the packaging now, the FDA, the regulations have changed, because high fructose corn syrup is now the dirty name. So they've changed it, and I can't remember what they changed it to.
I think it's high. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
But they changed it because high fructose corn syrup got a dirty name. So they're trying to, you know, they try to stay ahead of the game. They knew that people were catching on, and now they've changed the name. And you have to get back to them on that, what it is.
I think it's just called,
I don't know, but there's another name for high fructose corn syrup. And most people, you know, if you don't catch on, yeah, you'll be eating it.
So to summarize this, okay, so people keep asking me, what am I going to do when I get to my goal weight? Were you going to go back and go back to eating the way you were? You know, like all that kind of stuff. First things first, I will never go back to the standard American diet. I am keto for life. So let's clear that right up. Just when I get to my goal weight doesn't mean a free-for-all back onto the carb sugar land. Like I've really come to enjoy eating this way. I feel like I don't miss out. I have so many recipes that have been so easily converted to keto that it makes staying keto easy. Like, I love it.
And we together, you know, we brainstorm, and we have more videos.
I just can't get out in time.
Planned after. So it's like, okay, well, you get to your goal weight, and we can start on the good stuff.
Because I feel like once I hit my goal weight, that's when the hard part starts.
Oh,
I
feel
like
so many
the journey
good
to
things
lose
that
the
we're
weight.
going to do.
Yeah, but the journey to get where I am, I feel like was the easy part. The hard part's probably going to start when I hit the goal weight. So
the first month.
What's my plan?
After you do.
My plan when I hit my goal weight will be, you know, I won't have to eat in moderation, so I'll get to have the wind is blowing here. I will be able to enjoy some foods that I've really avoided for the past year and 2 months. But let's call it, I'll be at my goal weight in a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
So say after eating that way, you know, I can't just, like, I feel like this is still the bulk of what my life will be. I'll probably live the 90%, 10% rule or the 95%, 5% rule. But here's the thing, using this info that I got here, it suggested great carb alternatives that
we like.
That I do like. I love quinoa. I love sweet potatoes. I'm not against that. I like beans.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get organic beans and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, as for ever eating processed carbs or all that stuff, sugar, I will never happen. But I will when it's a cheat day, or maybe it's a day I want to have more carbs. I now
Boston beans and Franks.
I don't know about that. That's sugary.
Yeah. Hello.
So, and I swear I have to watch her. But anyways, when I have a day where I want to have a little bit extra, I'm going to have a sweet potato. Say we go out to a restaurant, I'm going to order a sweet potato and put some dang butter on it. That'll be my treat. That's not going to an Italian restaurant and ordering a giant plate of pasta. Like, very different approach.
I don't even want that anymore.
No,
there's other things that I want.
I've come to like just eating the sauce.
I actually don't even want, and you know, it's come from they put raviolis in my formula when I was a baby. But
I know, Italians.
I know. I've just gotten past that. I just don't even.
So, to like sum it up, where I would never say I'm never going to have like a bowl of pasta or something. I mean, that's silly. I'll probably at some point have some. I'm never going to say I'll never. But when it comes to indulging, my indulging is now going to be what is from this. I'm going to indulge in a sweet potato. I'm going to indulge in a side of quinoa. I'm going to indulge in what were the some beans, like some refried beans, you know, like
black beans,
and
the
salads,
lentil, and you can put the beans with the kale and the sausages. And
but here's the kicker: I'm not going to do that every day.
No.
That's for when I get to indulge, or that's going to be like my day where I just want to have a little something extra. My daily routine is still going to be keto, so I want to try to like bring that home.
Your normal,
my normal is going to be keto. Even when I get my goal weight, I'm just going to get to have a little bit more. You know, plus I've lived and I've spent so much of my life living this lifestyle. There's nothing that's going to like ever take that from me. I like doing it this way. It's sustainable. It just feels
odd the other way now.
Yeah.
Because it's just...
And I feel good. The desire to feel good over like trumps it all. I mean, like I said, never will I say I'll never have some pasta at some point in my life. I'll never say that. I mean, it's life. But I am going to continue eating keto and throw in a couple extra carbs, you know, once in a while in moderation, and not have any... I'm not going to sweat about it. So, is there anything
with close monitoring, if you see that the scale is kind of tipping up, you certainly have the tools in your tool bag to bring it back down. You know what to do, you know, so it's not like it's going to be like if you gain like 5 pounds, it's not like, oh, go jump off the cliff somewhere, because we know
I know how to get I know what to do.
Well, and plus you know not to let it become 6 pounds.
Yeah, all right. There's a limit, you know.
And I know when I first lost all my weight, I said I want a 10-pound window. But since I've been at my weight, I've never gained more than like 3 or 4 pounds.
Since I've been in town, we're down to your lowest weight.
I know, I'm lower than ever now. So now you've jipped me out of 5 pounds now, you know. But you know, you monitor yourself, and every time. Look, remember that time we went on a cruise? Okay.
Oh, I think I remember putting 18 pounds on in a week.
And I
cruise.
put like 1.5 pounds, but they made me do the stairs. They made me walk, and you know, so it was, you know. But you still look at that scale when you come back from that scenario, and you think, okay, now it's time. And that's the whole thing you have to learn about this: is don't take it another step on the wrong side of the fence. Stay in your lane. Stay where you know what works
and
for you.
get back to work.
And just, you know, and so what? Everybody needs, you know.
Yeah, you have to still live life. That's why I'm like, I'm excited that, you know, sweet potatoes can work for me. I've always loved a sweet potato. I've always loved quinoa.
Yeah. And for 8 years after, when I first started my journey, every morsel had to get weighed because I had a space issue. And so
because you had the lap band, for those that don't know, she's had the lap band,
and that was like how many years ago? 2008. So
that's a long time ago.
Yeah. So, but for like at least the first 8 years, every morsel that went into my mouth was weighed. So you know that you can't go beyond that anyway because space was an issue, but you learn to like budget your calories,
and you fill it up with protein first and then the rest.
Yeah, maybe. But what the point is, even after I decided that, okay, I've done this for 8 years, my weight has been, you know, stable for the last 5 of those first 8 years. And so I would just go on and do what I saw and learned along the way. But 1 week every month, I weighed every morsel that went into my body.
Yeah, you gotta know. You gotta know what you're supposed to, like what it looks like on your plate.
Yeah, you gotta slap on get you back in shape. So 3 weeks with no weighing at all, but then 1 week to get you, because you know what? That little piece will turn into another little piece. So you go 3 weeks.
And your portion size gets to this big again.
Yeah, so there's always going to be a process and a time for you to regroup. So,
my husband decided to have his done too. He got weigh-on, but but his also, interestingly enough, he's not a fan of a lot of stuff. And it said on here, like, all the stuff that he's already been eating and avoids. Wow. So it's pretty cool stuff. Taking your results with a grain of salt. But it was interesting to be armed with extra info on how to live your life. And the last thing is, I want to also say, when I've been, you know, prior to my keto days, I had a high, really, like, 95% carbohydrate type diet.
Oh, yeah.
And it's why I just blew up to 309 pounds. And then once, like, the dairy that the dairy that this plan suggests is, I can still have dairy, but I have it in moderation, and I have a lot more goat cheeses, and then dairy like aged cheddars, aged Parmesan, that kind of thing, not the creamy stuff that, you know, like the Velveetas, like probably
cheese, Velveeta, American cheese. But those things aren't even cheese. Yeah,
even just a simple swap, and that will also help my blood work, you know. So, and it'll help the weight loss journey. And it will make it's just kind of cool to see this all come together.
We all have intuition, you know. I firmly believe in that. So almost intuitively, you knew that these are the things that you stay away from because you don't enjoy them. Like your sister has never, I mean, she never dairy crosses
She's
the
never
threshold.
Liked dairy.
Never, not even
and
since
I'm like,
she was
well,
a
how would
child.
anybody not like dairy?
And so we can't wait for her to do this to see if that comes up. Or Kyle has the aversion. He doesn't do the cheeses, and you know
he does that because of celiac. So it kind of goes hand in hand with a dairy intolerance.
Right. It's an intuition that you already know what is not good for your body. But nowadays it's so hard for us to be in touch with
perception and reality kind of battle each other out. And then the last thing, I know when I've been losing weight, the less dairy that I have, the better results I have on the scale. The scale never lies, and the scale is going to show that inflammation. And a lot of the foods that I love all are inflammation, you know. So that's why I think the first month of my journey, I dropped 27 pounds. There was a lot of inflammation that went, you know. So it's just, all in all, it's pretty cool to see this. And if you are interested, I'll put the link and all the info down below on how to do this. But thanks to Gene Food, I didn't even know this kind of stuff existed.
I didn't either.
But hey, why not eat for what your body type does? So, and it gave me kind of a little bit of a plan or something to look forward to when I get to my goal weight. So, and then also another thing, I typically have mostly chicken during the week. It's probably why I have losses every week, I know. But I will start to incorporate a lot more. I'm going to try a fish. I don't know which one I'm going to start with, but I'm going to try a fish.
Comment below on where she should start.
What fish should I start with?
She used to eat shrimp.
No, I did not.
She used to eat tilapia.
She lies. I didn't eat any of that.
No. I'm telling you, by the bucket.
I was so little when I was eating that. I don't even know it.
We would have shrimp, and you would come in scampi, and you come in, you take the shrimp out of my plate.
I don't remember that.
You did. I'm telling you.
But anyways, I don't want you to think I'm against red meat. I will still have red meat. I just won't have it every day. I'll do it in moderation, you know, maybe twice a week. not 7 times a week. So you know what I'm saying? Using this, taking this info with a grain of salt, and yeah, going with it. So I'm not, in the immediate future, there's no changes. I've already limited and cut out dairy. The dairy that I do eat is aged cheddar, Parmesan, goat style, like feta. And then I also already have a bulk of my meats coming from like chicken, the leaner meats, and I put butter on them. I already cook with avocado or olive oil. I already have been doing a lot of the things that this recommends. But once I get to my goal weight, we'll see what happens when I have an occasional cheat meal with a sweet potato. It's going to be great. So anyways, it's the small things in life. If you've done this before, comment below. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I guess that's it for now.
Will you have a link to these?
Yes.
Because I need to do this.
Yeah, the link will be down below. The 15% off coupon code is Jessica Jean, one word.
Mother's Day's coming.
And I guess we'll see you at the next video. I'm Jess, and you're watching Keto Rewind. Say bye to Mom.
Bye-bye.